far more organised than the Rabbits, and far more sort of composed in key moments. Jaden Suat for the Rabbitohs was absolutely fantastic on their right edge, but the Panthers' pack across the board were very, very strong in this game, and led around by Nathan Cleary again, who I don't think gets a huge amount of help, I don't feel like, from sort of the other halfback. So he's impressing me. His goal kicking did not impress me. Into Friday then, and the Storm came down well and truly on the Warriors. It finished 50 points to 0 in this game. Now, I did catch some of this one back, and I didn't watch it all, because why would I? When it's that dominant a performance. Sacking the coach was not the fix-all that the Warriors would have wanted, Tim.
No. I mean, it was an odd decision, I thought, but it sounds like it's something that's been building for a while for them. But, looking at that game, I don't think it's going to be a quick fix.
No, and there was some multiple try-scoring efforts from Momirovski, Vunivalu and Pappenhausen in this game, as well as the classic Brandon Smith poaching try that never should have been scored, but somehow he managed to score it. So, big, good win for the Storm. Where was this one played again? It was played... it wasn't played in Melbourne, because they've had problems there, wasn't it? Was
it Central Coast?
No, it was moved to the Kogarah, weren't it? Not Kogarah. Yeah, it was moved to St George's Stadium in Sydney.
Okay, yeah.
Another game that was played in Sydney, and maybe one that at least one of the sides will wish was moved, and that was the Roosters versus the Dragons. But the Roosters did come out victorious despite the injury problems, 26 points to 12. Ryan Hall boosted into this game, and 194 metres for the winger come forward, who doesn't score any tries anymore, so that's why he's a forward, not a winger. So one of our good friends got in touch on this one, Tim.
Yep, Shoddy Mungo saying Victor Radley very much following the O'Loughlin method of playing loose forward by only playing half a dozen matches per season.
Yeah, Victor Radley was one of the two serious knee injuries. Sam Verrills being the other one for the Roosters. So that's two season enders looking like that. Both young guys, so both hopefully able to recover well from those injuries, but not what you want to see.
No, and I suppose questions being asked of the playing surface, given how many games they put through it in a short space of time, particularly on that Bank West pitch. It's not really surprised that there are questions asked. It's a relatively new one as well, because that surface probably only been laid for 2 years or so.
Well, probably less, isn't it? But it's actually being relayed this week. It was scheduled to be relayed the week after, apparently, but they've moved it forward because they can. Basically, it sounds like. And but the Roosters did make an official complaint about the surface. So we'll wait to see what comes out of that one. But in terms of the action on the field, Luke Keary just continues to impress me, and Kyle Flanagan gets better every time I see him as well. And the composure and control of those two, when so much of the other parts around them were disrupted in this game, was impressive. That said, they were only playing the Dragons.
Yeah, well, the Roosters, I think you've got to tip them now, because they just look like a hydra. You cut off one head and they've got someone else just pops up. It's scary in terms of how they're doing, and that sort of triumph against adversity. But they just keep finding the next two people pop up.
Brett Morris had an outstanding game, shifted into the centres because his brother was out. He would have played at fullback because Tedesco was out, but Joseph Manu ended up playing at fullback. All very mix and match, but it worked out for Morris, and these old Morris twins, they just keep performing this year.
Ever since they've come since the comeback, they've done so well in terms of there was the game was it 2 or 3 weeks ago where one of the Morrises, I think it was Bret, did 3 tackles in a set.
Yeah.
And it was just and he was running all across the pitch, and it was tiring just to watch. And then next, 2 sets later gets him on the end of something and scores a try. It's just they've obviously kept themselves very fit, I suppose, being able to have themselves to push each other as well, and have that idea of how well you're doing, I suppose, probably helps. But they're fantastic. The same way, in a way, you've seen Manly with the Trebojeviches, although out a couple of them out now, but where they've had those 3 of them have been able to work together, and that's really helped them.
Yeah, I mean, for the Dragons, Zach Lomax in the centres continues to impress, but ultimately, despite being 10-all at half time, this side were not a match for a disrupted Rooster side. Ryan Hall's performance, what did you make of Hall? Because I sort of joke about his lack of a try, because now everyone else is getting involved from a Brit Watch point of view, but a lot of effort he puts into these performances. He must get rewarded at some point soon.
Yeah, I mean, you see quite a lot of him for someone who actually isn't troubling the scorers. But I think in terms of the team, he's doing quite well. I don't know when does his deal come up? Was he a 2-year or a 3-year deal?
I think it was a 2-year deal, so I think he's looking to be back in Toronto next year. Sorry, Leeds. Sorry, he's going to play for his old coach again next year. Let's move on to maybe one of the surprise results, a game I didn't take in at all, any of, so I can't really talk about how this happened. But it looks like the Cowboys were inspired by what West Tigers did to them last week, because they came out and led 26-0 at half-time in this one, but ended up only winning by 32 points to 20, so very much like what they were handed on the reverse end of last week.
Yeah, I didn't catch much of this one, but then one I did pay a bit more attention to was where it finished at the Brisbane Broncos 12, Gold Coast Titans 30. Herbie Farnworth chipping in with a try, and we had a fan view on this one, came in from Lee Whitnell.
Yeah, he said, Jesus, this Broncos team is awful. Good to see Herbie get over, and he was one of their better players, but as a collective, they're just rabbits in the headlights. The Titans just had to put their foot down, mow them down. Farnworth's first try in the NRL, I think in his 9th appearance, wasn't it? So absolutely worthy of a shout out to him in what is a very declining Broncos side.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Seibold showing all the form of when he was in charge of the South Wales Scorpions for since he's lost that many games in a row. I know they're calling for his head constantly on the NRL 360 and all the various panel shows that they've got down there. I've seen a few clips come out today where various people have been discussing what they do, but I suppose the question as much as at the moment is who would they expect to come in and replace him, and he was of course brought in on a 5-year deal, so they'd have quite a big payment to make if they did get rid of him.
Yeah, it's whether is well, we should mention other Englishman, Ben Teo, scored a try his first time back in the NRL. He doesn't really count for Brit Watch because he's never going to play for England, but yeah, it is where if they go somewhere, where do they go? Look, one thing I would say, there is pieces of experience in this side, but one of those pieces has just joined the side, so isn't really ingrained there in Isaac Luke, and also Ben Teo to that extent as well. But also, there is a lot of youth in this Broncos setup right now. Tessie New, Herbie Farnworth and Xavier Coates, they're all teenagers playing in the backs there. Milford and Croft are having their first season together. Milford did try to inject himself a bit more, I thought, in this game, but he's just not playing well at the moment. We know about all their young forwards, even though there are some experienced ones in there, like Alex Glenn and Ben Teo, but there's work to be done there for that Broncos side. But Titans side, this was a big win for that side. Did you see like a potential long-term fix here with this side? They seem to have more of the side out there that they would be looking to have out.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential there, isn't there? And I think Justin Holbrook, he's the sort of coach that the longer you give him, the more things he'll come up with, the more solutions he'll put in place. So it could be that he comes up with that.
Yeah, they definitely didn't look like a mistake a second side this week. On to the main event, I'd say, this weekend, which was the Eels versus the Raiders, and this had everything, including a golden point winner in favour of the Eels, who did just deserve it, I would say. 25 points to 24. On the Raiders side of things, George Williams had a try assist and 106 running metres, a superb kick again from Williams, more try assists from kicks than any other player in the NRL this year. Elliot Whitehead had a try, asterisks, a try assist, 2 clean breaks, 41 tackles and 138 metres. He's been playing really well when the Raiders haven't been, I'd say, recently. Hodgson with a try assist and 53 tackles, although he did miss 9 tackles. And Ryan Sutton played off the bench as well. He didn't get introduced until very late in the first half, I don't think, so didn't quite tip anything up on the stats there, but we did get some fan views in. Let's rotate. Do you want to give Peter Averton's first?
Yeah, Peter Averton says, well worth getting up at 0500 to watch the game.
Lee Whitnell, so he must be based in America, or the... Oh, is he one of the Wolfpack guys, actually, I think. Lee Whitnell said, a great game with an exciting finish, but this is the second week running that Canberra have got the rub of the green with opposition injuries and still come out short. Parramatta certainly deserved the win on the balance of play.
Tom Andrews, good to hear from you, Tom, says, outstanding game. Raiders had to be favourite going into Golden Point. Wouldn't every team love a Sevo in their team?
And David Hunter said, really tough win for the Eels. They were disadvantaged by some events but held on and showed they will be a tough to beat this year. Eels forwards were dominant. So yeah, adversity in the shape of a try that shouldn't have been given, the Elliot Whitehead try, although Whitehead's part in the try was fantastic, and so was Cottridge's. It was just the pass from Croker that was forward, and also Mitch
extremely
Moses.
Flat.
Yeah, and also Mitch Moses, their key playmaker, got injured in the game, didn't he, just before half time, and that had a bit of a bearing on things as well in the second half as well. But then whatever the hell happened with Corey Horsburgh, swearing at fans, or giving fans the middle finger as he cried as he came off the field after starting a fight with the wrong player, I think. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, that was interesting. He's going to be out as well. He picked up an injury, and he's been good for the Raiders. So it wasn't just the Eels who had a player who got injured in this one. Let's be clear about that. What did you make of this one though? The game that had it all.
Yeah, I didn't catch it live, but I've seen highlights, and this is our game at its best when you've got two sides quite evenly matched, really going at it, and Parramatta, they've come back with something about them, haven't they?
Definitely.
It's quite interesting how they've not necessarily one you'd fancy, but starting to think now in terms of the draw they've had and where it sets them up for, that they could be the dark horses to do quite well.
Oh, definitely they are. Yeah, a couple of it's come off the back of a couple of experienced pieces being in there, but then a couple of players who've not quite developed yet, starting to look like NRL players. Gufferson and Mitchell Moses in particular. Their pack has been exceptional. Lane and Matteson are almost the prototype now for 6 again second rowers, 6 again rule second rowers, because the way they run. So wide, they're so energetic, so fit, and it's why the Raiders came looking for young kids out of Wigan, I think, to fill that sort of role, unfortunately, from Wigan's point of view. But the bench was better for the Eels than it was for the Raiders, I think. They keep persisting with Bailey Simonson on there, and maybe they needed to this week because Jordan Rapana was going to get himself sent off if he didn't get taken off. But there is something wrong at the Raiders at the moment. I think they put so much into that game against Melbourne. They've never, no game since have they been the most intense side. They were massively the most intense side that game. They totally outdid the Storm in that game and deserved everything they got. But since then, they've only really played to their potential for maybe 2 10-minute spells in each 80 minutes. Whereas the Eels were full on intensity from the start of this game. One thing I did like about the Raiders is that as the game went on, Whiten and Williams, who started the game poorly like they'd finished the last game, played started playing better, and it was when Williams started getting involved more, when Hodgson started giving the ball to Williams at first receiver, and Williams was passing it to White in a second receiver, they actually started to click.